a meeting in December, we can move on next year to other items.
Sure.
Yes.
I think we're saying the same thing. What I'm saying is we can be going up two parallel paths at the same time. This council can be reviewing it, but the council can also recommend it or send it to the planning commission for their review, so they can be reviewing it as a council.
Right.
And thank you, that was my next question, is if it had to go to planning, and I guess while it's there, when you're talking about what types of establishments, is maybe getting your input on that, because I know there's consumption lounges that I have in here as a proposed no.
I agree.
Okay.
And I think in my original draft, I did not have a consumption lounge.
And even maybe, looking at liquor business, but again, I would defer to planning, for input as far as what their opinion is, as well as the zoning. There's a few other items, let's see, there's consumption, mobile marijuana establishments, I'm assuming that's actually where they're selling. I mean, they can deliver, right? Or do we have to have something that allows that? Can that happen right now, that people? Okay. There was just a reference to it, so I wasn't sure if you were talking about delivery.
DoorDash.
Right. And then I can email this out, but like page 11, there's items 10, 11, and 13 talking about like social equity. If we're not using a scoring system, I don't know why their number of employees and all of that is relevant. We don't do this with other businesses unless they're getting like tax abatement or they're asking for rezoning, so I don't know why and what are we going to use that for? I mean, if it's a first come, first serve, though we want, I mean, it's good information to have on the number of jobs, but I don't see where it's relevant to have that in there. Page 15 talks about renewal of permit, referencing the Economic Development Board, making the decision on renewal based on their social equity, their number of employees. You don't have that board. Adherence to city's anti-discrimination policy, questions pertaining to promotion of people with marijuana convictions. They have a social equity silver star through the state. I mean, there's just a lot of references to things that it's a business. It's a legal business. Our voters have said they want to allow it. I don't know why we're getting into the weeds of what they're doing. Unlike we wouldn't do that in any other. If somebody's opening, retail establishment, we don't ask for those. And then in the zoning part, and then I'll be done. The 2,500 feet was missing. Churches, or I guess we might want to say, and I think in
or in mine.
Okay. I didn't see it in there. I don't know if we want to say religious institutions, because church, we want to make sure it covers all entities. Residential libraries, I didn't see that reference, so we need to make sure that's in there. And then in our current ordinance, the medicinal that's on the books, there's other language in there as far as hours of operation, that they can't be open, between the hours of 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. No consumption on the premises, requirements of surveillance system, can't operate in a manner creating like noise, dust, fumes or odors, open for inspection at any time. There's sign restrictions, you can't use the marijuana leaf on the sign. There's size restrictions on the signs. There's advertising restrictions, ensuring that they're not advertising to minors. And then there's distance requirements of where they can advertise. So I think all of that was passed, that needs to be looked at and included. I mean, I think a lot of work went into that before, and we don't want to lose all of that we've done and not have it in here. And I think it is important because a lot of these places do advertise to minors. I mean, the ones that look like candy, and I don't think we want that.
And the things that you enumerated, I had actually taken out of Kalamazoo's when I presented. Consumption lounge, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't think that's a good idea.
It's consumption on premises. I did change the social equity that we encouraged unionized workforce, but it wasn't a requirement. But that was, as you said, it's a first come, first serve basis. But I think looking at all these kind of documents, making certain that, because we are going to have to repeal the medical marijuana.
And
This
that
was-
then has referenced the repeal and,
All right, Councilwoman Brandon?
Yes, I didn't know if Mr. Becerra needed to speak to that, or,
I was just going to ask maybe if we could give Ms. Bell a few minutes, just relative to the timing, only because of requirements of a public hearing based on zoning and the number of days we have to advertise that public hearing. I certainly would want to help you meet the timing that you're looking for, but would want to make sure we're covering our bases from a legal perspective relative to zoning changes. So if he could give you some timing to keep us all on the straight and narrow, I'd appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Chairman, before she, I wanted to say that I did talk to Mr. Plato before the meeting, and he said there was a lot of things, like a lot of the things that, that Ms. Linton had talked about, I had noticed too. Some of them, not all of them, that was really good. But, he said that there was a lot of work to be done, so why would we publish something that's so far from where we are even, you know what I mean? Like, can he make the changes before tomorrow and let us see it? At least, I mean, even just
Certainly.
the obvious ones.
Certainly,
You know.
actually,
You know,
and if you could, make certain that the 2,500-foot restriction is in there. Make sure it's I-1, I-2, I think all the things that the councilwoman brought up, as well as,
I can email her.
yeah, those were a lot of the things that, what you had said too, things that you had changed, some of those were really good. Instead of doing this, and publishing it, and had so much to do, maybe if he could fix it up a little bit. He said himself that there was a lot of changes already, and then we could have a better document to work from.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it, yeah. If he got it 90% of the way there,
Yeah, that's good.
and we get it 97% of the way there, we're still gonna get feedback. This is part of the feedback. Okay, what's the art of the possible in terms of our timing?
Yeah, through the chair, you're concerned about the timeline, but I'm concerned we need to meet the requirements of the public hearing and the advertising 15 days before the public hearing occurs at planning commission.
Okay.
And then it would be after that, it goes to council, so that timeline's gonna kind of be into play. And we do have to publish it prior to the planning commission in whole or a condensed version before the public hearing.
So do we
You
ever
might
look?
want to have a draft that, is pretty close to what you're looking to adopt before we do that.
All right, well,
That was-
again, I think that's what we're, like to, all the modifications, and again, there's additional time, because even if it goes to publication, right, people give input, and then we have the final say. So,
If we can't make it with the, by tomorrow, that's going to be too tight.
Well-
Why can't we work on getting a document that we start with, and then you go with your 15 days?
Through the chair, I would recommend, just personally recommend, that you refer it to the planning commission for the public hearing and that portion while you are working on the draft and finalizing it, and then bringing the first reading forward after the PC meeting, followed by the second reading. That's
Makes sense.
Can you say that again? I'm gonna write it down.
what she's recommending is that we ultimately would not have the first reading until the 20th of December.
I don't have a calendar. I gotta sit down and figure what meeting we can put it on, when we can get it published in the newspaper to have it the 15 days before the PC meeting and the public hearing.
Well, if
But-
we approved it tomorrow, the first reading, as close as possible, then you'd have 14, 21, you'd have 28 days. Now, planning commission comes back and says we weren't able to accomplish it in that amount of time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Actually, it's 5 weeks from tomorrow. And that would give you, I think, the 15 daytime would